Hello, all my crafty people out there. It is time for our weekly project. If you have not been here before, my name is Stephanie and I upcycle clothing. Generally, things I find at my local thrift stores, sometimes estate sales, and I make either new clothing, accessories, or something in between. This week, I'm inspired by the season. This is one of my favorite seasons. It's just starting to cool off a little bit down here. You know, we're in the low 90s. But anyway, I found this cool shirt. I think I paid $3 for it at the Goodwill. And it's not fancy, but it's just, I like the subject matter. I like the flowers and the skeletons. But I want to do something with it to make it a little more cute. So, we have this crazy tie-dye dress. Now the dress, it was a little pricey. So I paid about $9.50 for the dress. So this better turn out, right? Put a lot of money into this particular project. So it's like it does have little flowers on the front, not the back, but I don't care about that part. That's okay. I think it's wide enough. That's what I'm looking for. So, and it's the right colors. If you want to see what I'm going to do with this, by all means, follow along, like, subscribe, let me know what you think, and I'll catch y'all at the table. Okay, everybody, this is our t-shirt that we're going to be working with. It's nothing fancy. I don't even know what the brand is, but it's cute, and it's perfect for this time of year. So I kind of got a gauge by putting it on how long I needed it before I want to put kind of like a flouncy peplum kind of piece on the bottom, but I want to go it all the way across and under the sleeves. So I think I need about 15 inches from the top of the shoulder here. So somewhere around here, which means we're going to be cutting our guys off right around the knee. And we're going to lose some of the flowers, which I don't like per se, but this is a design I think that the only way it's going to work is if we kind of shorten it up here. We're not going to lose the main part, which is the moon and the head and the heads and the butterflies and the weird dance they're doing. So if I do this is just a little bit more. Let's see. I gauge it here. So that's about 15 inches. That's probably where I want to cut it off. And once I cut it off, I'm also going to open the sleeves up. I'm going to open this entire seam down on both sides because we're going to be putting the fabric inside of the shirt, at least along the seams. So that gives you an idea of how long I'm making mine. Now, of course, you can make yours longer, shorter, whatever you feel like you need. But make sure you try it on and get comfortable with the length that you're looking for the entire piece. So since I need about 15 inches, again, from the shoulder to what would be the hemline, or the middle of the shirt now, then this is the dress that we're going to be cutting up for the bottom part, the ruffle part. And it's rayon. It's 100% rayon, so it's that kind of squishy fabric that's sometimes a pain to work with, but we're going to be interfacing the edge of the fabric, so we don't have that fraying problem or that separation problem. And I think what we'll need, since we got about 15 inches from the shoulder up, and I think we need about 25 inches in total for the entire length of the shirt, we're going to need about 10 inches of this. And I think that's going to work out to be about perfect as far as we're still going to contain most of this pretty stripe of the tie-dyed piece in the ruffle. And we're going to be ruffling it all the way around the bottom and underneath the sleeves of the shirt. Okay, everybody. Now the tricky part is going to be cutting this skirt. Because it is crepey, it moves. You may be working with a stable cotton, something a little easier to work with. I do not tend to help myself out like that. So I have folded the skirt in half. So like this is, it's folded in half here. So this is both the fold lines. And I use my binder clips to kind of secure it where all the seams meet, the folds meet, and all the hem lines. And then you have to kind of work and work and work to straighten it out and feel all your wrinkles out. Yeah, that's what I said, feel them out. So now I'm going to use 11 inches of this just because this is crepey fabric. I want to make sure I've got plenty of line up there to use for my seam line, my seam allowance. So I think the best thing for me to do is to mark it just slowly all the way around to try and get that 11 inches. I tried it with the big ruler, but that tended to make kind of a mess. So I'm going to do it this way and join my lines. It's not going to be perfection, but it'll be a little better than just willy-nilly cutting it off, obviously. We want to get a fairly straight line out of it. All right, let's cut some strips of our favorite interfacing. I'm going to cut, let's see, open it up here. Yeah, it's stretchy either way. Cut it on the long side. Okay. I'm just going to use 1-inch strips. That should be enough to make the cover the end. Okay, this particular type of interfacing likes a lot of steam, and so we're going to use our good old ugly pressing rag and lay that down on top of the piece that we're going to be applying. And remember, we're applying the sticky side of our interfacing, the rough side, down to the wrong side of our fabric, because we're going to use this to stabilize it and keep it from, you'll have to excuse my ironing board, it's a little wobbly right now. There we go. So I'm going to wet it down. And I've got my iron set on my highest setting, as you can hear. We're just going to press down and get this nice and secured. And we'll go all the way around the skirt doing this at the top where we're going to meet the peplum piece or fringe with the t-shirt. You don't need to press hard or run your iron. It's a habit for me. I want to do this, but you don't have to. You're just trying to make sure that that piece adheres to your fabric. Now, of course, test your fabric first. Make sure that the extreme heat's not going to bother it. This old rayon, nothing seems to bother it, so. All right. There we go. This is not something I would use to permanently affix two pieces or anything like that, but it does help keep it from fraying and stabilize the fabric when you're sewing it to another piece. Okay, since we need to cut or have our top about 15 inches long from the top of the shoulder here around the neck, right around here, we know it's going to be right at about these flowers and their kneecaps. We're going to be taking off, let's see, what's 28, about 13 inches. So 28 minus 15 is 13 inches. So we're going to take off 13 inches from the bottom. And I'm probably going to take off maybe 12 and a half, just to make sure, you know, we've got a seam allowance. What's the rule? I'd rather take off fabric than try to add it back. So I'm just pinning these the hemline to make sure they stay stable while I'm cutting. I don't want it to get uneven. And it's better to take a couple of steps now than to try and figure out how to fix it later. So we're going to take about 12.5 inches off. Let's get a visual of that. I'm using the tape measure today. I don't know why. So 12.5 inches is right there. Like I said, at the kneecap. I hate to lose any of this, but in order to do the shirt we're looking to do, we have to adjust. So I'm trying to get my wrinkles out. Don't need any wrinkles. Make sure my hemline, I'm going to try and line it up right here on this part of the grid. Use your grid if you got one. You know, that's what they're for. Make your life easier. Now we just got to flatten this out. Make sure we don't have any big wrinkles under here. And I'm going to take and, let's see, I'm at the 30 mark. So right here, 18 would be 12. Make sure I don't have any wrinkles. Just getting more wrinkles out. Don't want any wrinkles. Okay. 18 would be that, because that's 10, 11, 12. We might make it about 12.5. So we're going to do about right there. And double check. Yep. It gives me my 15. Gives me a little more than 15. All right. Well, let's just take it up to 18 then. I don't want it too much seam allowance. Again, checking to make sure we're right there. Yeah. All right. Time to cut their kneecaps off. And all the pretty flowers. All right, now we've got our shirt cut where we want it, which is great. That's perfect. I'm going to open up the seams on the sides, but I'm going to save that for a minute. Right now what I want to do is take our extra piece that is going to be the bottom, kind of like our little peplum-like piece, and I want to go and put a gathering stitch. So I'm going to put 2 gathering stitches because this is really lightweight fabric. So I'm going to put 2 gathering stitches all the way around this edge, and we're going to gather it because it is definitely more than I need for the entire shirt. So, because if you looked at it like this, just out of, I did measure it, but just out of basic curiosity, you know, you've got a lot more than you need underneath the arm even. So gathering it will give us an opportunity to fit it into this place just right. Let's go to the machine and gather away. Okay, now I've loaded my machine up. I've got black thread on the bottom and yellow thread on the top. Because honestly, I just want them to contrast. But I'm going to make sure that I run these gathering stitches with the fabric facing up, meaning the black bobbin thread will be the one that I pull from the bottom. And I'm going to set my stitch length to 3.5. It just makes it easier to run. I'm also going to start my stitches in the back. So here we go. This is long. Woo! Actually, I think I'm going to start them on the side. I'm going to do them on the sides because then I can do the front and the back because it's got a seam. Okay. And I am running this right up against the edge. Maybe 1/4 of an inch away from the edge first. But I will be running 2 lines. Oh, and make sure you pull your threads out. Pull your bobbin thread up and pull your threads out, because you're going to need those to actually pull when you finish. Okay, this is my big long gathering stitch piece. I've got the gathering stitches at the top. I'm folding it in half, meeting the seams, so we can get, before we start to gather, we can get the center mark on both of these sides, and that will help us line it up. We can make center marks on the front and back of our t-shirt, and that way we'll have something to kind of go by. You got to have some kind of point of reference when you're gathering and putting stuff on, so you don't have too many gathers on the wrong side. So now I've got these 2 marked, so that makes it easier. And what I'll do is I'll mark the center of my shirt right here. And since I can't really mark it with a, well, I think I'll just pin it, but we'll wait until after I get this open. Let's go ahead and open the side seams, because we're going to have to pin this in. And I'm not going to get fancy here. I am going to cut right along the seam, and I am going to cut and put the bulk of the seam in the back. In other words, I'm going to just cut it right down the line, and I'm cutting where I'm leaving the bulk of the seam to the back of the shirt. Just like that. Nothing fancy. I just want to be able to open this up, and try not to pull it. You don't want to stretch it while you're doing this. You don't want to give any stretch right now. In fact, I don't want to give any stretch to mine at all. But if you wanted to clip your neck, you know, your neckline or something like that, and stretch it, that's fine. I know that there are a lot of t-shirts out there that I have that I would prefer to have a lot looser neck. And maybe I'll do a video on how to turn them into V-necks. But for right now, I just want to make sure I don't stretch this one out of shape. That's another reason we're probably going to be putting the final touches, attaching this fabric to this t-shirt with the serger, to prevent as much of that as possible. All right, this is kind of what it looks like when we got it folded out. But I fold this in half. Then I'll be able to find my center seam, or my center of my front. And that's the part that I want to be able to connect to. So I'm just marking that for right now. And I'll mark the back. Put those sides together. Again, just be careful, don't stretch it. There's no reason to stretch. Not if you can prevent it. I'll pull that out a little. So then I'll just flatten it out. Give that a proper line. Okay, so now I've got the front and back center marked right there. Oop, that's a hair. Now, before I attach it, I'm going to have to put some gather into it. So I'm going to gather this, and then we'll start attaching it to the shirt. Okay, I've got it pinned, and it looks kind of weird. What I've done is I've got it laid out with the inside up, because you want to make sure you pin right sides together. So this is under here. This is the right side of the shirt. And I've pinned it right sides together all the way around. And it makes kind of a square because we opened up underneath the arm. So I thought what I would do, because it's stretchy fabric, and I don't feel like dealing with a walking foot, I'm going to put this under the serger, and I'm going to serge one side, which is, the back side, and the front side, the flat pieces there. And then after I do that, I'll serge each of the sides. I would rather do that than try to turn this corner. And then also when I do that, I can clip this corner, or all four of the corners, I should say, to make it a little straighter if I need to. But I want to avoid catching too much of this fabric in the corner. So I think it'll be safer that way. So I'm going to take this over to the serger, and again, I'm going to serge both sides here, and then I'll serge down underneath the arms. Okay, everybody. It's a little weird. I think I probably could have made it a little fuller, like gathered, but I'm kind of digging it. What you think? It's a little crazy. I did not have to sew up the arm seams, because when I opened them up and I attached this, and I didn't cut down that seam. I left that seam closed, so it was a complete circle. Well, I didn't have to close them up, so I'm kind of digging it. In fact, I might wear it to my tournament this weekend. So if you liked it, I think it'd be a pretty easy project. The trick is finding a full dress that'll cover the whole bottom. And yeah. So if you like this kind of content, by all means, like, subscribe. Let me know what you think, and I will catch y'all on the flip side of our next project.